Welcome back to the deep dive. We take these, well, huge piles of research, biographies, all that stuff, and we try to boil it down to what you really need to know.
Get you perfectly informed.
Exactly. And today, we're looking at someone pretty extraordinary. An actor who's managed to bridge maybe the biggest gap you can think of in entertainment today, Andrew Russell Garfield.
Yeah, it's more than just being versatile, isn't it? It feels like his whole career is built on this deep, deep commitment.
Right.
I mean, think about it. He goes from being Spider-Man, the earnest, friendly neighborhood superhero, the face of this giant franchise,
Billions of dollars, yeah.
to winning a Tony Award for like the most emotionally raw lead role in Angels in America. 7 hours on Broadway. It's an incredible jump.
It really is. So our mission today, our deep dive, is to figure out what connects those dots. How does he do it?
We need to look at, well, his background, those dual cultural roots he has, and his preparation.
Yeah.
It's almost like obsessive sometimes, right?
Totally. Studying Jesuit priests, learning to sing from scratch.
Exactly. And how does someone that famous stay so intensely private? That's another piece of the puzzle we need to unpack.
Okay, so we've got this really comprehensive profile to work from. It lays out the timeline, his family background, which is fascinating, really multi-layered, all the critical acclaim, the awards. It's all here.
It's a great starting point. Gives us the structure to see how someone goes from, planning to study business to being called a Jewish artist and tackling these incredibly deep roles.
So let's start there then, at the beginning. Those foundations, the cultural mix that shaped him.
Perfect, because that duality, that hybrid identity you mentioned, it seems absolutely fundamental.
Okay, so the basics. Andrew Russell Garfield, born August 20, 1983. And here's the first key thing, born in Los Angeles, California. An American birthplace.
Not raised there for long.
Not at all. The family packed up and moved to the UK when he was just 3. So he grew up in Epsom, Surrey. And crucially, holds dual citizenship, US and UK.
And that early move, that constant back and forth maybe in his identity, seems core to how he sees the world. He's talked about it quite a bit.
He has, yeah. He called himself a mongrel once.
Right, which sounds maybe a bit self-deprecating, but he meant it in the sense of feeling equally at home in both places.
But it's evolved, hasn't it, that feeling?
It seems so. More recently, like in 2019, he mentioned having a love-hate relationship with both countries, feeling slightly less proud of those passports.
Interesting. So still connected, but with a critical eye now.
Exactly. England is still home. Family, friends are there. He said that in 2021. But there's this distance, this sort of questioning of national identity itself. Maybe that helps him look at social structures more clearly, which we definitely see later on.
And it's not just US versus UK, is it? The family history goes much deeper, much further back.
Oh, absolutely. So his mom, Lynn, she was from Essex in England. His dad, Richard, from California. Dad ended up coaching the Guildford City Swimming Club. Sounds pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, standard suburban background almost.
But the paternal side, his dad's side, that's where the Jewish heritage comes in. The family name wasn't originally Garfield. It was Garfinkel.
Garfinkel.
Yeah. And his paternal grandparents came from Jewish immigrant families. They'd moved to London, but originally from Eastern Europe, Poland, Russia, Romania. A real tapestry of history there.
And he really embraces that heritage, doesn't he? He actively identifies with it.
He does. He calls himself a Jewish artist.
Yeah.
Makes it clear it's part of who he is, part of his work.
And didn't he explore that even more recently on TV?
He did. That show, Who Do You Think You Are?
Yeah.
In 2025.
Yeah.
He really dug into it, found roots specifically in Kielce, Poland, and discovered this incredible, quite moving connection. His great-great-aunt, Ruchula Garfinkiel, she married the first cousin of Władysław Szylman, as in the pianist.
The very name, the Jewish pianist whose story was told in that amazing film. Imagine finding that link in your family tree. It connects him not just to history and hardship, but to, art as survival. That's incredibly powerful. You can see how that kind of background might draw someone towards stories about identity, struggle, meaning.
Totally. But before acting took over, life looked very different. His parents had an interior design business. His mom was a teaching assistant too. And he was super sporty.
Right. Gymnastics and swimming. He was really into it.
Very focused. And the sensible plan, was business studies, structure, stability.
Which is just wild to think about now, given the path he took.
Isn't it? And the way that path changed, it's almost comical. Pure chance, really.
Tell us that story again. It's great. He's 16, planning his A-levels.
Right, those big exams you take in the UK to get into university.
Yeah.
He's lining up his sensible subjects for business school.
And then?
A friend basically begs him to take theater studies. Why? Because the class was one student short of the minimum number needed to run. They needed one more body.
So he signed up just to make up the numbers?
Pretty much. Filled the gap. And that one decision, that seemingly tiny thing, changes everything. Leads him eventually to the Central School of Speech and Drama in London. Amazing.
Destiny on a class list. It's brilliant.
So let's not forget the glamour of his first job.
Ah, yes, the bright lights of Starbucks.
Exactly. Working behind the counter, getting moved around between different branches in Golders Green and Hendon. Keeps him grounded, right? That everyday experience before the whirlwind hit.
Definitely provides some perspective. Okay, so that foundation, the hard work, the rigorous training after that chance decision, it clearly paid off fast. Let's move into that next phase, Section 2. Graduation to global attention, roughly 2004 to 2011.
Right, and he didn't mess around.
Yeah.
Straight out of drama school in 2004, he dives headfirst into theater work.
Stage first. That seems significant.
Hugely significant. That immediate immersion, night after night, honing the craft live.
Yeah.
It gives you a different kind of resilience, I think. And the awards came quickly. Manchester Evening News Theatre Award, Best Newcomer, 2004 for Keys.
Keys, well, classic.
Then 2 years later, Outstanding Newcomer at the Evening Standard Theatre Awards in 2006. He was making waves on stage almost immediately.
That stage discipline, you can really see it carrying through his whole career, can't you? It's not something you just pick up filming.
Absolutely not. And the screen world noticed pretty quickly. His UK TV debut was 2005, a show called Sugar Rush.
I remember that.
But the big public breakthrough, UK-wise, was probably Doctor Who in 2007.
Ah, the Dalek two-parter in Manhattan. Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks.
That's the one. He played Frank, said it was an honor being part of that whole universe. And that same year, 2007, Variety puts him on their 10 actors to watch list. The momentum was building.
And then America called. His U.S. film debut, also 2007, Lions for Lambs.
Yeah, talk about jumping into the deep end, sharing the screen with Tom Cruise, Meryl Streep, Robert Redford.
No pressure then.
None at all. He played this American university student, kind of caught in the middle of these big political debates in the film. Critics basically said he held his own, showed he could handle that level of talent around him. One review called him a willing punching bag for the movie's jabs, which sounds harsh, but I think meant he could absorb the drama, react authentically.
But the role that really showed his dramatic power, the one that screamed, "This guy is serious," was Boy A, also 2007.
Oh, Boy A was absolutely pivotal. A Channel 4 drama. He played Jack, formerly Eric, a young man released from prison after committing a horrific crime as a child, trying to build a new life, new identity.
That sounds incredibly challenging. Morally complex.
Immensely. It's not a character designed for easy sympathy. It required this tightrope walk of conveying vulnerability, guilt, hope, fear, all at once. And he nailed it. Won the BAFTA for Best Actor in 2008 for it.
A BAFTA, wow. So the industry recognition was immediate for that kind of deep work.
Totally. Critics raved about his nuance, the detailed expressions, how he captured the character's internal struggle. The Wall Street Journal called his performance phenomenal, specifically mentioning how he showed all the broken pieces of this guy's personality.
That really laid the groundwork, didn't it, for the massive year he had in 2010. That felt like the moment he went from promising actor to global star.
2010 was huge. 2 absolutely massive, critically acclaimed films back-to-back, Never Let Me Go and The Social Network.
Never Let Me Go, that dystopian sadness.
Right. With Carey Mulligan and Keira Knightley, he played Tommy D. He described the character as sensory and feeling and animalistic, really drawn to the film's big questions about, what it means to be human, what makes a life worthwhile.
And he stood out in that cast, too, didn't he?
Definitely. Won the Saturn Award for Best Supporting Actor. Critics called him the real find of the movie. High praise alongside those co-stars.
But then The Social Network, that was the one that just exploded, playing Eduardo Saverin.
Yeah, the Facebook co-founder who gets, screwed over by Zuckerberg. This role perfectly highlights what makes Garfield special, that empathy. He talked about feeling a greater sense of responsibility because Saverin is a real guy.
And wasn't he initially considered for Zuckerberg?
He was. David Fincher, the director, thought about him for Mark. But Fincher apparently felt Garfield had this incredible emotional access to his kind of core humanity, which just fit Saverin better. Saverin needed to be the heart, the soul, the victim of the story's cold ambition.
And he absolutely was. That performance, the betrayal, is just devastating.
Critics loved it. Great subtlety and rueful charm, one said. Rolling Stone's review is famous. shatteringly good, the soul of a film that might otherwise be without one. It's pretty definitive.
Wow. And then nominations followed, right? BAFTA, Golden Globe.
Yep. Supporting actor nominations, it cemented him, showed he could bring that deep, dramatic weight to a film that was also a huge commercial and cultural hit.
Which leads us perfectly into the next chapter, Section 3. The Spider-Man years, the stage return, and these incredibly intense transformations. This is where he really navigates that blockbuster versus serious drama tension.
Exactly. From critical darling to global icon, almost overnight. 2012, he's cast as Peter Parker, as Spider-Man, in the reboot, The Amazing Spider-Man.
Opposite Emma Stone, who became, well, a significant figure in his life off-screen, too, for a while.
Right. And he didn't just phone it in, did he? He saw it as a massive challenge. Treated it like a serious role, not just putting on the suit.
That commitment again. How did he prepare for Spidey?
Well, this is where it gets interesting. He focused on making Peter Parker feel authentic. So he studied the movements of athletes, obviously, but also spiders. Like, really watched how spiders move.
Seriously, studying Spider.
Yep. And yoga, Pilates. He wanted to capture that combination of grace, power, and slight awkwardness. He brought that method actor intensity to his superhero role, trying to find the real kid underneath the mask.
And it worked, commercially at least. The film made a ton of money.
Over $752 million worldwide. Huge hit. And critically, people really responded to his take. The Guardian called him the definitive Spider-Man. They love his mix of vulnerability, wit, and that kind of nervous energy.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing for that franchise, was it?
No, not entirely. He did the sequel, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, in 2014. But the planned third film and the whole expanded universe Sony was hoping for, it kind of fizzled out.
Right, the Sony-Marvel deal happened, and they rebooted again with Tom Holland.
Exactly. So while his performance was praised, the franchise itself hit a wall, which is a tough reality in that world. You can be great, but if the bigger machine stalls.
It's a good point. The business side can be brutal, regardless of the actor's work. And interestingly, right in the middle of all that Spidey mania, he did something completely different.
Pivoted right back to his roots. March 2012, while Amazing Spider-Man buzz is building, he makes his Broadway debut.
In Death of a Salesman, playing Biff Loman opposite Philip Seymour Hoffman, no less.
Talk about intense. Going from web-slinging on green screens during the day, maybe, to grappling with Arthur Miller's family tragedy on stage at night. That's commitment.
And he got a Tony nomination for it, Best Featured Actor. Critics said he really captured Biff's loneliness, that raw ick.
It just shows where his artistic heart lies, doesn't it? Even at peak blockbuster fame, he needs that stage connection.
And didn't they name a spider after him? That feels like the ultimate validation of his Spidey research.
They did. Andrew Garfield, a species of crevice weaver spider. It's kind of perfect, isn't it? A little nod from the scientific community to his dedication. It shows his immersion resonated beyond just film buffs.
Okay, so after the Spider-Man sequel and the franchise sort of ending for him, he took a break.
Yeah, about a year off screen. But then he came back in 2016 with two films that were just game changers. Films that demanded everything from him physically and emotionally.
It feels like a conscious reset, doubling down on difficult, transformative work.
Absolutely. This was peak Garfield commitment. Silence and Hacksaw Ridge. Let's start with Silence. Martin Scorsese directing.
Playing a 17th century Jesuit priest, Sebastian Rodriguez, going to Japan to find his mentor during a time of intense persecution.
The preparation for this was next level. We're not just talking about learning lines.
No. Our sources say he spent a whole year studying Jesuit theology and practices with Father James Martin. A whole year.
And undertook the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius of Loyola, which you need to understand isn't just reading a book.
Explain that. What does that involve?
It's this incredibly intense, month-long silent retreat. Guided meditations, deep prayer, rigorous self-examination. It's designed to fundamentally reshape your inner life, make you confront your deepest beliefs and fears. He actually went on a silent retreat in Wales to do it properly. Total immersion.
Wow. That dedication doesn't even cover it.
And it took a physical toll, too. Filming in Taiwan was tough. He lost 40 pounds, about 18 kilos, for the role.
And he said it affected him deeply, spiritually.
Profoundly. He spoke about falling in love with Jesus Christ through the process. Not necessarily converting, maybe, but fully inhabiting that spiritual world, understanding that commitment on a visceral level. It shows his ability to connect with the belief systems through deep empathy.
Incredible. And in the same year, 2016, he does Hacksaw Ridge.
Right. Directed by Mel Gibson, he plays Desmond Doss, the WWII combat medic, famously the first conscientious objector to ever receive the Medal of Honor. refused to carry a weapon, but saved dozens of lives under fire.
A completely different kind of faith and conviction.
Exactly. And this film was a huge success commercially and critically, made over $175 million. It proves he could lead a successful film that wasn't a superhero flick right after doing this intense art house Scorsese project.
And his performance.
Raves. People loved how he balanced Doss's gentle spirit, his simple sweetness with this unbelievable courage, this steadfast mettle. That contrast, the inner strength beneath a quiet exterior, really resonated.
And earned him his first Oscar nomination, Best Actor.
Yep. After Silence and Hacksaw Ridge, he wasn't just the former Spider-Man anymore. He was firmly established as one of the most committed, transformative actors of his generation, choosing the hard path again and again.
Which really sets the stage for the next phase, Section 4, post-Oscar nom, more major stage wins, and then musicals. It just keeps getting more interesting.
Absolutely. After the intensity of 2016, what does he do? He goes right back to the theater. But not just any theater. Angels in America.
Tony Kushner's epic, 2 parts, 7 hours long. He played Prior Walter.
Prior Walter, wow. The heart of the play in many ways. Dealing with AIDS in the 80s, having these visions. It's a monumental role. He did it first in London's West End in 2017, then brought to Broadway in 2018.
And the reaction.
Huge acclaim. Critics called his performance the persuasive moral core of the piece. Transformative. It's a role that demands everything. Vulnerability, rage, humor, prophecy. And the ultimate validation came. He won the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Play in 2018. He'd already been nominated for the Olivier Award in London. It cemented his place as a true heavyweight on stage.
So theater wasn't just a side project. It was clearly central to his artistic identity.
Completely. It feels like the source he keeps returning to, maybe to recharge or recenter himself after big film projects.
He kept busy with films, too, during this time, right? A mix of things.
Yeah, definitely. He did the biopic Breathe in 2017, playing Robin Cavendish, who was paralyzed by polio. Worked closely with Cavendish's family on that. Then some more indie genre-bending stuff like Under the Silver Lake, that neo-noir.
Oh, yeah, that was a strange one. Divisive.
Very. And Gia Coppola's film Mainstream in 2020, which he also co-produced. So he was still exploring different kinds of filmmaking, even producing, keeping things varied.
And then came 2021, another absolutely massive year for him, just packed with major roles.
Unbelievable year, just bang, bang, bang. First, The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Playing Jim Baker opposite Jessica Chastain's Tammy Faye, that transformation, the look, the voice.
Spot on. He really captured that complex, controversial figure. But the big surprise, the real pivot, was tick, tick, boom.
Playing Jonathan Larson, the creator of Rent, in a musical. Directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
And here's the kicker. Lin-Manuel apparently cast him because he saw him in Angels in America, saw that raw stage energy and thought, yeah, he can do this.
Even though Garfield had, 0 professional singing experience before this.
None whatsoever. That's what's so wild. He had to basically learn to sing, not just hum a tune, but belt out Jonathan Larson's incredibly demanding emotional score.
That's another insane level of commitment, months of vocal training.
Intense vocal training, building the technique, the stamina, everything from scratch. It's that same dive-in headfirst approach we saw with Silence. He just commits totally to the transformation required.
And the result.
Golden Globe win for Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy, and his second Oscar nomination for Best Actor. It was a triumph. Proved his range was even wider than people thought.
But 2021 had one more huge moment. The one everyone was talking about, denying, speculating about.
I guess. The return of the prodigal Spider-Son.
He came back in Spider-Man, No Way Home, after months, maybe years, of denying it vehemently.
The denials themselves became legendary. But yeah, there he was alongside Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire. An incredible cinematic moment.
And you could tell it meant a lot to him beyond just the fan service.
He said it was joyful. And crucially, he said it gave him closure with his version of Peter Parker.
Closure. It's interesting. It suggests maybe the way his own Amazing Spider-Man series ended did leave a mark on him.
I think so. It felt like unfinished business, perhaps. Getting the chance to come back to sort of complete that arc alongside the other Spideys, it must have been incredibly cathartic. A way to honor his own take on the character properly.
And that whole year, 2021, plus the Spidey return, really cemented his influence, didn't it?
Absolutely. Time magazine put him on their list of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2022. That reflects his cultural impact across film, theater, everything.
He hasn't slowed down much since then either. 2022 saw him tackle TV again.
Right, the miniseries Under the Banner of Heaven, playing Jeb Pyre, a Mormon detective investigating a brutal murder that shakes his faith.
Another role steeped in faith, doubt, internal conflict seems to be a recurring theme.
Definitely. And again, critical acclaim. An Emmy nomination for lead actor. Critics pointed out the almost flagrantly tender quality he brought to the role. That ability to convey deep sensitivity even within a tough procedural story.
So what's next? What's on the horizon?
The slate looks as varied as ever. There's a family film, The Magic Fairway Tree, a thriller with Julia Roberts called After the Hunt.
Okay, covering all the bases.
But the one that really jumps out, transformation-wise, is coming up in 2025. An Apple TV Plus miniseries called Wild Things. He's playing Roy Horn.
Roy Horn, of Siegfried and Roy, the Las Vegas Magicians.
The very same. Can you imagine? The look, the accent, the physicality, the whole persona. That's going to be another massive undertaking, capturing that unique, flamboyant, complex public figure.
Wow. He really doesn't shy away from a challenge, does he? Okay, so we've traced the career, the incredible roles, the commitment. Let's dig a bit deeper now into the man himself. Section 5. His philosophy, values, spirituality, how he handles fame and life events.
Yeah, because his personal identity seems just as layered and, frankly, fascinating as the characters he plays. We mentioned his Jewish heritage, calling himself a Jewish artist.
Right. But he also uses another term to describe his beliefs.
He does. He's referred to himself as an agnostic pantheist.
Okay, let's unpack that. Agnostic pantheist, what does that mean?
Well, broadly, pantheism is the idea that God, or divinity, isn't separate from the universe, but is the universe. It's in nature, in everything. Agnosticism is the view that the existence of God, in a traditional sense, is unknowable.
So God is maybe everything, but we can't really know for sure.
Kind of. It suggests a spirituality found in the tangible world, in experience and connection, rather than through rigid doctrine. Which is interesting, right? Given how deeply he explored the very structured faith of Jesuit Catholicism for silence.
That's a fascinating contrast. How does he reconcile that?
Well, that experience with the spiritual exercises for silence clearly had a massive impact. Remember, he said he fell in love with Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he converted, but it shows his capacity to fully immerse himself in a belief system, to connect with its core humanity and spiritual depth, even if his personal philosophy remains different. He treats these spiritual frameworks with immense respect, like vital human dramas.
That makes sense. Now, shifting to his private life. He's famously, well, private, especially for someone who's been globally famous since his early 20s.
Remarkably so. He draws a very clear line. He'll talk endlessly about the work, the craft, the characters, but personal relationships, private details, off limits.
We know about his relationship with Emma Stone, his Spider-Man co-star that was very public for a time, started around 2011.
Right, and reportedly ended around 2015. But characteristically, no big dramatic announcements, no public statements, just quiet separation. He maintains those boundaries fiercely.
Which makes his openness about other deeply personal things, like grief, even more striking.
Exactly. That's the paradox. His mother, Lynn, sadly passed away from pancreatic cancer while he was filming The Eyes of Tammy Faye. He managed to get home to be with her, which is fortunate.
And he's spoken about that loss very openly, very movingly.
Incredibly openly. On major platforms, too, Stephen Colbert's show, Anderson Cooper on CNN, he talked about grief as unexpressed love, this beautiful, profound idea.
And even on Sesame Street, talking about loss with Elmo in 2024.
Yeah, making that incredibly difficult concept accessible, sharing his vulnerability in a way that felt helpful, almost instructive.
So why the difference? Why is profound grief okay to share publicly, but, say, relationship details are not? What's the thinking there, do you think?
It seems to come down to purpose, maybe. Sharing grief, especially in the way he frames it as love, feels like it serves a larger purpose connection, demystifying loss, offering comfort. It feels altruistic.
Whereas discussing romance can often feel promotional or just gossipy in celebrity culture.
Exactly, which he seems determined to avoid. He uses his platform when he feels it can contribute something meaningful, like his work with the Worldwide Orphans Foundation. He's been their ambassador of sport since 2011. Using his visibility for causes he believes in?
And that extends to political statements, too. He hasn't been shy about voicing his views.
Not at all. He signed that Artists for Ceasefire open letter about the Gaza war in late 2023, calling for a ceasefire and voicing support for Palestinian lives.
And he's also been quite critical of broader systems.
Yes, frequently. He's openly criticized capitalism and consumerism, made comments suggesting we're living through the failure of capitalism. Strong words.
Which presents, well, an interesting tension, doesn't it? An actor who starred in billion-dollar franchises, the epitome of corporate entertainment, critiquing the very system that produces them.
It's a huge tension. and one he must navigate constantly. How do you reconcile starring in Spider-Man with critiquing
How
capitalism?
do you, or how does he seem to?
It appears he uses the platform gained from those massive commercial successes to then have the freedom and the visibility to do the work that feels more artistically or politically meaningful.
Mm.
The intense stage roles, the challenging indies, and speaking out on issues. It's like leveraging the system against itself, in a
Yeah.
way. He doesn't seem to feel the need to be purely one thing or the other.
Okay, let's try and bring all these threads together then. What's the core takeaway from this deep dive into Andrew Garfield? What's the fundamental thing that defines him?
For me, it's that relentless, almost obsessive pursuit of authenticity through total immersion. He can be the global superstar, meet those demands, but his driving force seems to be this need to commit utterly, physically, intellectually, emotionally to finding the deepest truth of a character.
Whether that's a priest, a superhero, a singer, a salesman's son.
Exactly. It's the common thread. You see it in Boye's vulnerability and Saverin's heartbreak in The Social Network, the emotional depth he fought for in Spider-Man, the spiritual quest in Silence. It's always about digging deeper, transforming himself.
And for you listening, his journey is kind of a masterclass in expertise, isn't it? It shows how that willingness to dive deep, whether it starts accidentally in a high school class or involves learning a whole new skill like singing for Tick Tick Boom, that's how you achieve real breakthroughs, real mastery. He never seems to just skim the surface.
No, he absolutely refuses to. It's about integrity, driven by this complex, personal philosophy. You don't see that combination very often, especially at his level of fame.
Which brings us to our final thought, something for you to mull over.
Okay, so we've established this tension, his critique of capitalism, his complex feelings about his dual nationality, his deep commitment to roles that often explore faith and ethics.
So the question is, how will all of that shape his future choices? Especially as he takes on potentially controversial roles like Roy Horn or maybe more overtly political historical pieces, will that activist side, that critical voice, start to dominate his work?
Or will he continue this incredible balancing act, maintaining that massive commercial appeal, while still making these uncompromising, deeply personal artistic choices? Where does that path lead next? That's the really fascinating question about Andrew Garfield's ongoing story.
A truly compelling figure. This has been a fantastic deep dive. Thanks for joining us.